What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hustling Sideways podcast. I'm Alan Halas. I'm a music writer.
And I'm Jim Love, and I am a keynote and motivational speaker.
And this is episode 46.
46.
The Hustling
It
Sideways
is.
podcast.
I just did the math in my head. Yeah,
Yep.
that checks out. And we are right after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
It is the Monday after, which is, I would argue, one of the laziest Mondays of all time.
I actually won't even be in town.
Yeah.
When this airs, I'm not even in
You're
town.
not going to be here. I will be. I will say, so my family is, who listens to this show, of course, bless them, is a maniac family. And we are the ones that run the turkey trot on Saturday, after we've eaten all the things and have watched too much college football. So
yeah,
I'm hoping that when I'm at this part of my life that I will have given a 5K update on a personal record that I'm going for of under 23 minutes. So time will tell. Been rocking a Peloton.
There you go.
And it's been, I'm
nice.
swimming in Kristen. Yeah, it was killing the Peloton. So I'm excited. Been doing like the crazy, back and forth 6-minute mile, 12-minute mile.
Oh,
and it's, yes, I got my dad and my brother are good runners and I'm not. So it's about to go down.
I have already seen I've seen like memes and stuff that's like, know what family you're getting into. If they're the kind of family that watches football on Thanksgiving or runs 5Ks on Thanksgiving.
Mine's a maniac one.
Now you're both of them. So I'm a little worried.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. We got in-laws, of course, that despise our efforts to do that. But you know what? They chose this family, and they knew what they had when they were coming in.
As long as you have one family member that you can absolutely smoke in a 5K,
doesn't
matter.
Oh, we're good. I got a
You're
couple.
there. Yeah, you gotta have one.
I'm not gonna name any names, but I got a couple.
Talking to you, Uncle Jerry.
Jerry, that's you. Well, we are so excited to be here. As you all know, Alan and I went to a lovely university in Milwaukee where we're based called Marquette.
Yeah.
And we like to have on our friends from Marquette quite often who are just doing awesome things and have great stories and generally are just great people to talk to. And we have one of them today. So
and we also bonded over going to years and years of Marquette basketball games.
You bet. And so we're gonna collect all those things and bring them all together and welcome on a very special guest. It is your very own Marquette basketball's finest, Jerel McNeal.
Ooh.
Jerel is the co-founder of the McNeal Acker Foundation. And Jerel, we're so excited to have you on. Welcome to Hustling Sideways.
Welcome.
Excited to be on, fellas, man. I want to appreciate both of you guys for having me on. I'm excited about spending a little bit of time and getting to talk with you guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. So first and foremost, where are you calling us from tonight?
I'm back home, actually, just a little bit southwest of Chicago. So that's why I call home now. I'm right out in the Frankfurt area.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Very
So
cool.
one thing to know about Jerel and I is that we are big fans. So that's a thing. We share that in common. I would say that was probably the first thing that we ever bonded on over the Twitter webs, which is the best place to do it on. But a Marquette alum and a White Sox fan are not mutually exclusive things. So we're in a very tight ship, and it's great. And actually, your Twitter avatar, I believe, is you throwing out a first pitch at a White Sox.
Yeah, or at least it was. I was about to say, I'm not sure if I switched it. I'll play around with that type of stuff all the time. But yeah, that's one of my favorite picks. That was like a major highlight of my life. So I'll try to keep that profile picture in rotation quite a bit.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
I love it. So tell us a little bit about sort of your background and maybe the road to getting in to Marquette and what that was like for you and so some of those experiences along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just to me personally, I'm a Chicago native, so I was pretty much born and raised out this way my entire life. Both of my parents, my mother, I should say, was born and raised here as well. My father was originally from a smaller town out in Senatobia, Mississippi. So my father's a down south, a good old country boy. So so he what ended up happening, he ended up moving up when his sisters, his eldest sister moved up, or not his eldest, but his older sister moved up to Chicago. He ended up moving up this way. Him and my mom met through a mutual friend. The rest is history. They both ended up being lifelong Chicagoans, and I've been here ever since. Went to high school, back out this way at Hillcrest High School. Finished up there after 4 years, and I was a pretty good player. We had some good teams when I was there, but I was an all-state first team guy, parade All-American coming out. I'll say probably like a top 100 recruiting my class. I'm not on the high end, but still was a little bit under recruited in my opinion. But just one of the better players though going throughout the country. And so pretty much went from there. And when it was time to make my college decision, Marquette ended up being like the perfect fit for me. A big part of my recruiting process was when they went on the 0-3 run to the Final Four. That was a really big part of it, and that's kind of like when I completely fell in love with the program and just the culture and everything. So I got a chance to go up to a ton of those games when D Wade and Trav and Steve and all those guys and Rob Jackson, Scott Merritt, those guys were on the team, man, and they had a really good group, and they did a lot of winning. So was constantly just around, getting a chance to see the city. At this point in time, this was still like, I think the Al McGuire Center was like under construction or just getting ready to be built. So they made it a point that that was part of their recruiting pitch back then. They drove me over to an empty hole in the ground and was like, yeah, man, this thing is going to be awesome.
You're going to love it.
When it's all done, I swear it's going to be top notch. And I must admit they did not disappoint though. Awesome facility, and so I mean that's kind of when I fell in love with the program and everything from there. And more than anything, I had a really special bond. I felt like with Coach Crean at the time, who had been there for a while, and they had a great year. And I felt like it just made sense to me. It was generally close enough to home. I was one of the people, I didn't really care about location when I was choosing school. Like I'm a bit of a loner, so it was like I could have went halfway across the country. But one of the things that I did kind of take into consideration was like it'd be cool just to be able to have my parents to come see me as much as possible. For games and stuff, because they've always been so supportive of me throughout just my entire career, even before I was in high school. They were taking road trips following us all over the country when we were kids, and could barely play dead. So I wanted to at least stay somewhere moderately close, and it just seemed like the perfect fit, especially with them going into the new Big East conference too. That was awesome, man. I'm super competitive guy. I wasn't sure if I was good enough, but I wanted to go up against the best and see where I stacked up. So, and I knew with the realignment that was probably going to be the best conference, and it was for sure. Probably, in my opinion, probably still the best basketball conference that had been put together to this day. ACC is close now, but it's still not the same. I feel like as some of the teams a little wishy-washy in the ACC from year to year nowadays. Some of the old powerhouse schools. So and I went on from there, made a decision to go up to Marquette, and I guess I'll stop there and let you guys jump back in.
And then a solid career as one of the big three for Marquette during your run there. And then coming out of school too, offers to play, overseas and a little brief stint with the NBA as well. Tell us a little bit about that, how that kind of what led you to playing overseas initially. Like, how does that contact first get made? Because I think a lot of
man,
and
it's when you get into that, and that's one of the cool things about it, just being somebody. And I always I still consider myself just being really, really fortunate. It's just when you start playing a game as a kid, it's just out of pure love, and it's kind of remained that way for me. This has been one of the most purest things in my life, start to finish. But just when you start, you never really truly dream of getting an opportunity to do something that you love, to earn a living. So I was really fortunate to do that. Coming out of school, I was projected to be like a late first, early second round pick. I went undrafted coming out that year. And I ended up getting to go to a training camp. So I got a training camp invite with the Los Angeles Clippers. This was like my rookie year out. Ended up being like one of the last cuts on that team. And at that point, I pretty much just kind of had a decision to make. And this is like all the little parts that nobody ever really tells you about. I had a decision to make. It was just like, you talk to your agent. I guess I kind of should backtrack and not skip over that process. That's also a big part of the process. When I first got done with school, I took meetings, and I had one of my mentors set up meetings for me, just with a group of a couple of agents, just to try to decide who was going to represent you. And that's probably one of the weirdest things for somebody like me because I'm just like a super. I don't know if I just like I'm just like a really humble, down to earth person. So like you get into these meetings and so many sales pitches and people trying to tell you what they could do for you, and it's just like, man, I'm gonna do pretty much. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do the same thing, regardless who the representative is. I don't need you to make me any crazy promises. Just put me in a position to get on the court, and I'll do the rest. So I
Right.
ended up picking an agent. I ended up picking an agent, and how that process went is just kind of like I was the last cut. I could have went to the which at the time was the D League, which has now been renamed to the G League. I could have
Yeah.
did that option and got allocated, but still isn't. But the pay wasn't great then.
Hmm.
But that's so like obviously to make a lot more money and start your career off a little bit better. You also had the option to go somewhere and try to get on overseas. And at this point in time, overseas, how that usually works is guys usually sign anywhere from some guys are signing earlier now, but generally when I was playing and throughout the course of the years, guys usually sign around July, June.
Mhm.
So and they get guys over there and start training camp by August, pretty much everywhere. If you're going after that, you're kind of late. So for the most part, rosters are already put in place, and me going to training camp, it was kind of a situation where you kind of gotta wait for something to open up. The teams start trying to make changes. That usually happens around Thanksgiving, Christmas. Most teams got guys where they feel like, oh, this isn't working out great, so let's figure something out. Try to maybe get another piece in here. So what I ended up doing was going back home for a while, training after I got cut, and waiting on the deal to come up. And I ended up going over and playing my first year in Belgium. I was in Mons, Belgium, uh, which is probably like like an hour away from Brussels. But yeah, absolute complete culture shock for me.
Yeah, that's
But
what I was gonna say.
really cool. The basketball was the same. I adapted. Like I said, I'm one of those people. You can kind of put me anywhere on earth, and I'll figure it out. That's what I did. That's what I did, and like you said, just going from there. I've been really really blessed and fortunate, man. Just with the overseas thing, one of the perks of it is that I've played in and I'll run a list here just of the places I've actually lived and played in: Belgium, Italy, France, Spain, China,
Hmm.
Israel, Germany, Greece.
Oh wow.
So
Full passport.
yeah, absolutely. I'm on the second one. All my pages got burnt up, so they was like, "Yeah, we can add more pages to give you a new one. Give me the new one." And I put the old one up and put it up somewhere. So I got all that's the one I got all the stamps in now. So yeah, so I had an opportunity to play all over the world, and like you also said, a couple cups of coffee in the NBA. Cool thing about that, I've played in the G League, the D League, both of them.
Mhm.
And I had really good success pretty much everywhere I've been. Most of the time, except as I say, every year I played, went back and played in G League, I got called up. So every year I went there, I got a call up and I got an opportunity to get to catch on with the NBA roster. Whether it was for the rest of the year, 10 days. My first one was 10 days. After that, the other two times I was with the team all the way throughout the next year. So, yeah. So I had a really unique journey, and I've been around a little bit of everywhere, and it's been really cool, man. And I've been really fortunate, and I'm super appreciative of all the opportunities I've been given.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, just having, how many places you just listed off. How many
Yep.
people can say that they've even been to those places? Number
Right.
one, but actually lived, worked, and played there is pretty incredible. Did you have like a favorite place that you've been to that was just like that stood out above the rest of a place
Man,
where you
it is so hard because that's what I said. I just gave you guys the list of places that I've played there and I lived there. But the list of how many places I've actually been is I would have to sit down and actually think like really hard about it. So that's the even cooler thing about it. Yeah, I've been a little bit of everywhere, but and picking the places is tough. And so I give you a top list, a top
went?
three.
Okay.
First of all, one of the ones that the last place that I was at, Israel, I got a chance to play there, and I was living in Tel Aviv for 2 years.
Mhm.
Oh man, unbelievable, awesome. I had no idea. It was like a hidden gem to me. Like people always told me, like, man, if you ever get to Tel Aviv, it's amazing. But actually being there and living in the city, man, really cool city. Kind of reminds you of South Beach, a little bit of Miami
Oh, interesting.
vibe.
I would never
And
guess that.
yeah, and culturally going back toward the European area, man, Greece was an amazing place to live. I stayed in a city called Thessaloniki,
Okay.
which is a little bit is farther north than Athens. So I think if I'm not mistaken, you might need to fact check this. Athens is the biggest city, but I think Thessaloniki is the second biggest city.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, so
Yep.
like it's over 1 million people, but oh my God, breathtaking, beautiful city, man, and just the Greek people are beautiful people, and I got a lot of really good lifelong friends from that year playing, man. We had a hell of a year over there, so that's definitely on the list. And another one of the sleeper ones that I'll say, Italy was awesome as well. Italy was amazing. I stayed in a really small city called Montegranaro,
Mm-hmm.
probably like 2 hours from Rome. The next closest biggest city to us was Ancona. That's where we like the airport was. We actually played our games in Ancona too. But yeah, Italy's an amazing place. Food, oh my God, top notch. If I could do that over again and just like, oh my God, the food, man, everything's so fresh. And
All
the
I hear, it's like,
courses
Yes.
and,
like
and
unreal
you
how
know,
much
I,
better. Yeah.
okay, I'll say and the wine is awesome. Like, let me not
Of
forget that.
course.
I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to sound like an alcoholic, but we had some good nights as well. So,
Hey,
Of
yeah, Italy
course.
was
when
amazing.
literally in Rome
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
when
When
in,
Yeah,
you
in
know what I
Italy.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. There.
for sure, for
You
sure.
know, it's very interesting to me. I mean, obviously, every kid grows up and wants to go to the league. You know, any kid that
Mhm.
plays ball wants to grow up and go to the league. But I think that there's something that you just get a crazier life experience out of that. You know what I mean? Like from going your route and playing overseas and being to all these different countries. Like, I think that teaches, a lot more about, character that builds, hard work, everything, because you're now kind of in that, like, it's you alone and you've got to learn this
Mhm.
language and you've got to adapt to this situation. Is that something that you found, hard to do, was to play in another country and have to learn, the culture, the language, and how to adjust? I mean, the game is the
Yeah,
game, but still.
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely, and that's really spot on kind of question right there too, Alan. And I tell people that all the time. Without me completely knowing it at the time and me not being this way before even, but just being able to be a world traveler like that, and being in them situations, man, like uh, it it kind of changes your perception of the world, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So many times, and I tell people this all the time. Not to say that anybody ever wants to hear it, or nothing wrong with it. Americans are great people, but
Mhm.
boy, are we spoiled. We are a spoiled bunch, and we kind of all just had this my way or the highway attitude on most things.
Right.
Being like on the opposite side, like you see people in this country sometimes who are not, native born here, you know what I mean? And they're kind of like foreigners. And when you kind of look at them like, oh, yeah, you don't know nothing. You're not from America, not American. You should
Yeah.
conform to our ways when you're in America. But it's just different being on that opposite side. So
Mhm.
being that outlier and being an American surrounded by a bunch of people, like they dropped me off in Belgium and everybody in that country spoke French.
Mhm.
Uh, I took Spanish for maybe 4 years between high school and college. So it's like, oh, yep, missed on this one. Maybe on the next try. So yeah, I had no idea what anybody was saying to me, but it just lets you know also how capable you are. We are as humans of
Mhm.
still connecting with people,
Mhm.
even if you don't necessarily speak the same language. And just people are so much more prone to be generous and nice and taking their time and trying to help you with things if you're willing to even just try. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? just try sometimes. Like you try to take the time. Like I try to I make it a point, like everywhere I went, like, and like I said, I wasn't in the always in the greatest of situations because I was pretty much going to a different country every year, but I never got a chance to stay in one country for multiple years outside of the 2 years in Israel. But oh man, I used to always make it a point to try to pick up a little bit of the language, learn about the customs, not stuff that I hear about it, in the States, actually being there and asking one of the native people about it, that all that type of stuff, like it means a lot to me. And I felt like it always brought me closer and connected me with my teammates and the locals a lot more. And I enjoy each and every experience, man. It's really cool just to see the different cultures and the different languages. Everybody does things differently, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we're all human beings and we all in this on this world, just trying to find our way. So like I said, it really just gave me a completely different look on life in general.
That's awesome. And speaking of that connectedness, I know how close you are with, your teammates from Marquette and the players there now in the last couple of years. And how did you maintain that? I mean, being gone and being in, because I think about the folks that I know from college now who are maybe some of my best friends that I'm in Milwaukee and I work here and I have for 10 years. And some of them I don't even talk to for a year and change until I see a basketball game. How did you pull that off? I know how connected you are in that university. And I know it is really a brotherhood when it comes down to it, but what was that like for you to try and keep up with those folks you shared such a common experience with?
Man, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you, and one of the things, like you say you go like a year and some change. Sometimes you won't talk to your close friends. Like, man, it's not always easy. It's not always easy, man. When you kind of in our controlled environment, we kind of understand that we were all in Milwaukee, seeing these people constantly for 4 or however many years you were in the city. You know what I mean? So once you get out of that, and everybody's life kind of starts moving on and taking different turns and going in different directions. And at the same time, like I was just saying in the last segment, just like, everybody's trying to kind of find their way. But so, you kind of got to make it a priority to take that time and try to stay connected. And that was one of the always things that was always big with me. One of the things that was easy for most of us was that we still had the bond that even though we were no longer at Marquette in Milwaukee together, that we were all still playing, so that made it a little bit easier, kind of all our routines were similar. We were all still, dribbling the ball, trying to get it going and competing on a high level. So you still connected through that in a sense. But the other way, I will say this: a lot of group chats. Right, and I'm sure we're all probably prisoners to it nowadays. Anyway, like if you had to think about it, like how many different group chats am I in on my phone? Like, a lot of group chats, and I tried to make them as big as possible. And over the years, they dwindled down. Like you said, like it just happens, man. No hard feelings, not holding any grudges. The guys falling out necessarily. It just dwindles down. Some stay more closer to others and continue to chime in and send those messages, and some kind of fall by the wayside. So but it's important to me, and I think we've done a really good job of it. I probably still talk to Wes entirely too much. I'm sure we get tired of each other. Like, we just had a type of relationship where FaceTime call 2 a.m. Like, hey, what you think about this? And So I mean, it's just, but like I said, that's my brother. So like, I'm hoping it'll be like that forever, and I'll never bat an eye at it, and I'll always answer the phone. And with Neek, his was a little bit different. We weren't all talking to him as much at times initially, and to be honest, he was probably I think me and Neek were the first ones to kind of connect when we all signed going into Marquette. So like me and him had a relationship, and we ended up at some of the same tournaments. And Coach Crean gave us each other. I think I still tell people, like, I think it was like his part of his master genius. Like he did it on purpose. Like he planted little seeds, and he just knew, like, if I want things to go right, I'm gonna need these guys to be close. And he did the same thing with West, but I think West signed after both of us. I think we both signed or committed first, I should say, not signed, and then West was the last one because it was between pretty
Wes
much Marquette and Madison. So he
Wes
had
had
to,
to take one
yeah,
more
we had,
visit just to make sure, right?
yeah.
Right,
Look, we had to, no, we had to pry him away from that Madison stuff. So
The
yeah,
rodents.
yeah, so he kind of just connected all of us and had us make relationships. So with him, and obviously, like I said, without going into too much detail, things go on in other people's lives and take turns and things like that. So and one of the biggest things with him, me and him, I got so much love for Nick. It was just me, constantly trying to make sure that you got that phone number, make sure that you reach out and let them know, bro, we still here. You need anything, what's going on, where you at now? And I've been adamant about that. I constantly try to be adamant about that. Not to say that I'm perfect or the best at it. It's just something that it means a lot to me because those guys mean a lot to me. I'm not who I am today if I don't meet Wes Matthews and Dominique James and I don't play with those guys and the Dwight Burks and what I mean, all of those guys, what I mean. I'm not the same person I am today. They all have an effect. I think we all had an effect on each other. So it was just important to all of us. And I say that it was really cool because Nick just went into the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
Lord, what was that? A couple months ago, last
Yeah,
year, this year, I
last year.
can't. Yeah, so I started to run in. Yeah, it was somewhere in last year. So we all got a chance to go up and be back there. And I drove up, me and a couple of my other guys drove up from down here just to make sure that we were there because we knew he was going in and make sure that he had the support and things like that. And like I said, it's not always easy, man, but we all try to do our best to stay connected and we all still love each other. We're still really close friends and, our families are connected, you know what I mean? Like just so
That's
many
awesome.
things, so many connections with it. Yeah, it's just something that just kind of never changed, man. We went through so much together. We grew up. We became men together. So
That's great.
something that'll always be special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's so cool because obviously Alan and I, well, we were recruited by a lot of schools to play basketball.
Oh, yeah.
But I think what's great is of course you guys being on a national level and being noticed do represent the vibe and the energy and the atmosphere of the school, and you don't get that very often. I think at state schools they're sort of on their own and whatever. Like you were so ingrained in we're student athletes and like. I think because I'm friends with like a lot of the players, that I went to college with and I know we didn't interact in college because we weren't there at the same time, but like that what I think is a huge difference is like you actually represented what is great about the institution, which is why I think so many people identify with themselves with that team and with with the brotherhood that came with it and with the friendship, and it's a lifelong commitment, and you guys are a perfect example of it, which it's just it's such a good way to represent what I think people came away from with their experience there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also leads to, kind of what you're doing now with Mo Acker. That's,
Yep.
The project that you're working on now. So tell us a little bit kind of about what you guys are doing and then how that kind of came about.
Yeah. So and yeah, just like I said, it's all like you guys said, it's just kind of a good segue into it. Because it's all kind of connected anyway, and just going on from that, like you said, being at Marquette and being around those guys and doing so much. Uh, once I finished, not finished playing, but once I graduated from Marquette in 2009, I'll say the next year or so after that is when we created the non for profit foundation, the McNeal Acker Foundation. Me and my other former teammate Maurice Acker, who you guys know, I'm sure he played at us with Marquette, but that was actually my best friend from high school. He played with me at Hillcrest, and we grew up together. So me and Mo are best friends. Like we're all best friends now. So, but so like we can't separate any of us. So he's their best friend too. So yeah, but we created that, and just because, and like I said, this is just the part about I don't even think you would call it being humble, just knowing, man. We had where we started at together, us just being good friends and loving the hoop and play basketball, and what it was able to grow to. I felt a strong desire and a passion just about doing everything within our ability to give back.
Mhm.
Uh, and that was really important to me because we talk so much constantly, just me and him, about like, man, you remember this, man? You remember we used to go to this tournament? You remember such and such dad used to have to drive us out here and pick us up, and we had this one time, like, uh, and I say this to my kids now all the time, man. Nobody nobody becomes a successful person without help along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
100%.
and anybody that's truly successful, and I mean sustained success, not fleeting success, uh, they have help along the way, man. And that can change somebody's life, and it can have a crazy impact on a lot of different people. So I wanted to come back and do the same thing. I wanted to try to help as many kids as I could, as we could, to try to give back, and not necessarily just always predominantly about sports and basketball. That was just kind of our starting point where we started it at. So we started off just doing like a annual basketball camp, because keep in mind we're doing all of this while we're still playing. So
Right.
Yeah.
like I say, in the calendar year, especially with the overseas stuff, you're gone 10 months out of the year,
Right.
9, 10 months out of the year, 9, 10 if you make playoffs, 9 if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 2.5 months pretty much at home.
Mm.
And so we weren't able to do and put it exactly where we wanted it as quick as we wanted it. So we just kind of did it slowly but surely. And we started off doing like a yearly annual basketball camp. And we started off doing it completely just a free camp. And I mean, we were just having kids come out, giving away shirts, spending hours in the gym with them. We were really fortunate to put together a couple sponsors, and try to get some donations. We fed them. They had lunch provided for them, and we were there like pretty much all day for a week straight. And I started doing it at my old high school initially, and and it kind of just took off and grew from there. A big part of why we were even able to do any of this was just because of our collective resources with our families. His mom, his dad, my sister, and some of my sister's best friends, who are like my sisters, I consider those my family as well. They all, while still working real jobs, just being here on a regular, they kind of went to the forefront with everything and handled the operational needs and got us to everything we needed to do, to become a true non-for-profit organization and get the the 501c and all that type of stuff and things like
Yep.
that in order, and building up sponsors and working and getting us a website, and just sticking with it after some years and staying passionate about it, man. We really saw how much that it was affecting the community and people around us, and getting really good feedbacks, and it just grew and grew and grew. And now we're legit. We're running. We got a calendar. It's still not where we want to be. Obviously, a growing project still to this day. But we got a decent calendar where now we got it to a point where we still do the basketball camp. I started adding some more like individual training with kids and stuff now during the year, and the fall and the summer and things like that. We also do toy drives around Christmas time, where we take donations, all that stuff, and just give away to a ton of families in needs. And we do food drives right now too, as well, coming up around just passing the Thanksgiving holiday, I should say.
Yeah.
So we do food donations, and just a ton of different things, anything that we can think to do to help back, especially with the youth. If we could do it through sports, great. But if not, we still want to go have an opportunity to go out and impact families in need, especially in the communities that need it the most. So we got a pretty decent calendar now. Like I said, we just been growing it up over the years, man. And it's I look at it now as almost like my life's work.
Yeah,
So I'm just
absolutely.
100%.
yeah, I'm pulling. I've been pulling my all into it, and and just that whole line, and not even just my foundation, just everything that I do now is just trying to build. It's just kind of built on trying to give back and help the next generation.
For
I
sure.
love it.
And I think that, what you're doing too, like sports is a good gateway, but it's the moments that you're not on the court that I think those kids are going to remember too. Like you
Mhm.
said, like you give them,
Absolutely.
you're in the gym and you're working with them, but they're going to remember lunch with with their best friends now. And they're going to remember playing pickup games with their friends. And then as they
Absolutely.
go on through their journey, like they're gonna, you're making memories for them too, which
Yep,
is
absolutely. That's another one I forgot to mention. I will say we do like a back to school bash in August every year before all the kids go back with free food. I got a ton of like really cool Nike bags to give away. We fill all the bags up with school supplies for
Nice.
anybody that needs them. And yeah, we have it all set up out in the park, DJ, a bouncy houses, a couple basketball courts. It's a really good event. That's part of our annual calendar as well, man. So like you said, just trying to take those moments as well, not just always sports related, just to be able to give back and try to rub off on as many as the youth as possible. That's really important. So
Great. I mean, I feel like your whole journey has brought you to what you're doing right now. I mean, the gratitude you felt in high school, going into Marquette, which is a university that obviously we all know and love, but is dedicated to this, to giving back and to using your talents, which I think is the important part. Some people want to find ways to really give back or really be a part of their community, and you're using something you're really good at and have made a career out of, and also now taking the coaching part and going into being like, this is what I want to do. And I could tell how much it's become your passion and really your vocation to make this your next step. And what do you see happening with it? I know you're obviously doing so much now. Like, do you see this growing into beyond, kind of like a local thing, or do you see it becoming sort of like a national, how do you see this foundation really growing and becoming something even bigger?
And that's the next step for us is and this goes back to something I kind of said earlier. You can't always get to true success without some help, right?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that's one of the big things that I'm open to. I've been doing everything I can just to continually make the connections and things like that. So I know we're not the biggest foundation. We don't have the most stuff going on, the biggest sponsors, and the most money flowing through it. But at the same time, you're one partnership away from somebody seeing you doing things the right way, or they want to try to give away and funnel some extra stuff through you to try to help you give back and help your foundation. So just building those bridges, man. Sky's the limit with it, but at the same time, my my intention is not to try to make it the biggest and the best. It's just to try to get as far outreach as possible. If
Mhm.
that's through if that's through me collaborating with somebody else and being having a smaller stake in the table or whatever it is, that's fine as well. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to control everything. I don't have to decide always what we're doing. I'm willing to work with other people and just see where it takes us. But the more people that we're able to affect, and I mean, in the right areas as well, that's important to me. So, the sky's the limit with it. I'm not looking, like I said, to shoot to the moon with it and just have the biggest and the best. I just want to try to do what I can to try to have the greatest impact and the farthest outreach to help the youth.
Love
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Love it. I have to imagine that some of your old teammates have been, obviously you're partnering with one of your old teammates and best friends, but
Yeah,
the Marquette community, I would imagine has been a big source of, just resources for you and folks that have helped out, probably been a part of the camps, I would imagine too. Have you seen a lot of that been a big help with just that sort of that basketball brotherhood?
yep, and they always constantly are trying to do what they can to just try to help pump stuff through them. We use a lot of their color schemes and stuff. That's purposeful, you know what I mean, all that type of stuff, because we're still connected with them and we love those guys up there. Like I said, they help us out with so much and constantly give us great platforms in different ways to help us generate donations and funds and things like that, and continue to get the message out and help us out. So we're really appreciative of them, and obviously would love to continue to do even more with them if possible, and just continue, like I said, just keep building bridges, man, not burn them down. That's the most important thing.
For
Amen to that.
sure. Is this ever something that you think growing up playing ball that you would ever have done? Do you ever picture yourself having a nonprofit or an organization?
Absolutely not. Not even on my radar growing up. But at the same time, it's not that to say like I didn't think I would try to ever help anybody else.
Mhm.
I just didn't know to the extent it was going to be too. I never could probably fathom that at the time. But you get older and you see so much, and that's one of the things I feel like should come with age and wisdom. It's just like, man, uh, I I've always looked at it like this, even with my playing career. I'm a big team guy, a really big team guy. So it's just like, man, I'm not. I had a hell of a run. I had my time. I'm cool with letting go of the reins and letting the next young group behind me, take the reins and take the charge. I want to do everything in my position to put them in position to be more successful than even I was. You know what I mean? So that's just how I look at it.
Well, we may have to do a little one-on-one when you're back in Milwaukee to just see if you still got it.
Hey, just saying.
Yeah,
I had a solid outside jumper in 7th and 8th grade for Holy Wisdom Academy.
That means something, Jerel. All right,
Yeah,
just
so
remember that.
You
The
catch
jumper,
me
it's
within
the
10
last thing
feet.
that goes. The jumper.
Yeah,
That's it. That's it. You still got it.
had
Okay.
a little mid range as long as you played in the same gym that there was also a bingo hall.
Yes,
You're fine.
Yeah.
That's where I excel.
And I mean, I
That was my Al McGuire.
The bingo hall will do it. Yeah.
Nice.
What was your most memorable game as a student when you played at Marquette, 05 to 09, the one game at 6 on your head as like that was wild. What was that game for you?
Ooh. Oh man. I usually when most people I usually go easy and I go with the UConn game.
I knew that.
Just because it was the first one, but outside of that game, let's go outside of that game. Let me think for a second. Oh man, what was a good one? Oh man, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, the year Novak hit the shot in the corner.
The three, yeah. It like broke like a decibel level in the Bradley Center too, or something insane like that, right?
I have never heard the Bradley Center that loud in my life. I was like it was literally like you couldn't like it was just like you couldn't hear anything. You just saw everybody moving around. It was like a movie, just like white noise. It was so loud, man. It was just and I used to see the shot go in and it just goes completely deafening, man. Everybody's going crazy. We don't know if the game is over. You can't hit a buzzer. Like I just man. That was a really good game. It was just a great environment from start to finish. And I remember that was one of the only few times. It's one of the cool things always about the BC, man. They got the hockey rink under there, man. So it was always freezing. Anytime we had shoot around. Anytime you were in there, like for practice, and we'd be the only one. Oh my God, I'm putting on 6 different shirts, long tights, jogging pants. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna warm up before practice start because it's so cold in there. And I just remember coming into warm ups that night at Notre Dame, and it was so many people in there before tip off, like the entire, like it was hot. It was so many bodies in the body heat. I was like, I don't even need like a shirt today. Like I'm
good.
completely fine. Like it's burning up in here. Like so that was one of the better moments and better games for sure. Novak drilled the big one. Everybody went crazy. It wouldn't be the first or last time that happened.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome. Well, I go ahead. You guys
I was just gonna say this has been a blast.
Yeah, man, we've really enjoyed having you on, and it's great to hear. Of course, obviously being Marquette's now second all-time leading scorer. I know you were probably rooting hard for Marcus to do that, and you're still in Marquette folklore, and it's a wonderful thing. I don't know if I'm assuming you guys formed a relationship just based off of that record,
man. Absolutely, and I guess until somebody knocks me down the third, which I'm sure is coming any day now, we'll always kind of be connected in that way, sort of like the way that I was connected with George Thompson, rest in peace as well. One of the all-time great people and legends of Marquette basketball, man. GT was so nice to us and talked so much to us, and really great guy. Always had a good joke, man. So he'll be missed too, man. I'm sure me and Marcus will always be kind of connected into that way. Like I said, until somebody else drops me down, I don't know if anybody gonna get close to him.
I don't think so.
Or relatively close to or at least anytime soon. Yeah. So like I said, times keep a changing. We just keep watching, right?
That's right. We got high hopes. The tough loss against Purdue, but hopefully at this time when we're talking, it will be 2 more wins in and be ready to rock for the year. So
absolutely,
so Jerel, it was just a pleasure to have you on, man, and excited. I know you and I connect often, and if people want to get in touch with you about the foundation, where's the best place to do that?
You can always go to the website. We got everything there, and we got phone numbers on there, and also the email address and stuff is all right there on the website. You can drop a line or donate and all that stuff on the website. But the website is McNealAckerFoundation.com.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. That's
Very
easy enough.
cool. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. And if people want to get in touch with this podcast, Alan, how do they
Yeah.
do that? Look at that
Yeah.
transition.
I like it. You're
Nice.
learning. 46 episodes in, you're learning. Yeah, if you guys want to get in touch with this podcast, we are available wherever you get your podcast. You can subscribe to the show. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and now on TikTok as well.
All the things.
Hustling Sideways, we are all over the place there as well. If you've got a side hustle or a passion project of your own as well, too, feel free to send us an email. It is hustlingsideways@gmail.com. Jerel, thank you so much for doing this.
Appreciate it
This
so
is
much,
so
man.
awesome.
Hey, man,
It.
can't thank you guys enough, man. You guys are great, man. Best of luck. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure this won't be the last time. I'll come back for episode 242 next
Hell
time.
yeah.
I like
Okay.
it.
You're first.
Yeah.
You're in, man. Well, on that note, everyone, keep on hustling.
See you next time.